money. The process of earning millions with little or no work. You must have seen some ads like spend just 2 hours of your time every day and earn 1 lakh per month. Earn 50% return on your investment in just 1 month. Or become a millionaire in just 6 months. These options are too good to be true, and in reality, they are. Pyramid schemes also belong to this category. These companies start with the sole objective of looting people. Sahara India is the best example for this. But can these schemes destroy a whole country? Can it start a revolution and become the reason for the death of 2,000 people? That's exactly what happened in Albania in 1997. And this is the story of a pyramid scheme that destroyed a nation. Before we get into the story, let me tell you what a pyramid scheme actually is. Companies which start these pyramid schemes don't really do any business. They mainly target middle class and poor. Initially, they attract you to put money into the scheme by using high returns as a bait. Promised returns can go up to 50% per year. And then they will ask you to bring more people to invest in this scheme, and you will earn commission for that. It's a two-way income for you. You will get high return on your investment, and at the same time, you will earn commission. The ultimate fantasy for the middle class is to get rich, and these pyramid schemes hit on the same point. Its popularity grows day by day. More and more people are attracted to this scheme. For some time, these schemes will give you promised returns just to show themselves as legitimate business. But how do they give these returns when they are not doing any real business? It's simple. They just take money from the new investors and give that money as return to the old investors. So the whole business is dependent on getting new investors. Once that stops, whole pyramid will collapse. Coming back to the real story. Albania is a tiny European country. It was a dictatorship ruled by Enver Hoxha. Being a communist country, there was no concept of private property. Everything is controlled by government. Country was totally isolated from outside world. But it can't last forever. In 1991, Soviet Union fell, putting an end to the dictatorship and communism. The new government elected in 1991 was different. They were more lenient towards the Western policies and encouraged free market economy. But they were new to this system. Being in communistic rule for over 40 years, they didn't have the proper understanding about the financial system or regulations. There were very few private banks and 3 state-owned banks operating in Albania. But they were not in good shape. Loan default rates were rising. The interest you can earn on your deposits was very less. An incompetent political system which don't know how to regulate itself, and people who don't have proper understanding of the financial system. This was the Albania situation, and it was the perfect breeding ground for the pyramid schemes to rise. These pyramid companies were very similar to banks. They were taking money from people. They were offering very high interest rates and became popular in a short span of time. Some of the big companies were VFA, Gajalika and Kamberi. These 3 companies were controlling the whole market, and money from people's bank accounts started moving towards these pyramid schemes. Being a new kind of business model, there were no regulations or pyramid schemes like how much money they should take from the people or how to control these businesses. Also, these companies had the support of politicians. These companies were donating money to political parties, so government was openly supporting these companies. That adds a lot of credibility to these pyramid schemes. The market for pyramid schemes was so favorable that in 1996, 3 more companies entered into this market and started competing with the existing ones. To attract more customers, these companies offered interest rates starting from 30% and up to 100% per year. That's insane. 100% return in just 1 year. It created a euphoria. People were just pulling out their savings and investing in these pyramid schemes. Albanians sold their houses to invest in these schemes. Farmers sold their livestock. Whole Albania smelled and sounded like a slaughterhouse, as farmers drove their animals to the market to invest the proceeds in the pyramid schemes, and government was just watching. In 1996, International Monetary Fund and World Bank warned the government regarding these pyramid schemes, but there was no response from the government and citizens were simply not aware of these warnings. At the heights of this scheme, 75% of Albania's population was invested in various pyramid schemes. It also means that if something goes wrong, whole country will go into chaos. Stage was set for the biggest financial collapse in the history of Albania. Whatever the reasons may be, all financial crises around the world follow the same pattern. First, people invest insane amount of money without thinking about the risk involved. And by the time they come to know about the risk, the damage is already done. Albania is no exception to this rule. In January 1997, two of the companies operating in pyramid scheme went bankrupt. That shook the public confidence in pyramid schemes. People rushed to take out their money, but companies had no money to pay. Their investment exists only on paper, and those papers are now worthless. This event sparked anger in the public. They started peaceful protests. Soon, it turned violent with the police involvement. The situation was worse. Government buildings were set on fire. Albania, that had never witnessed violent protest, even during the fall of communism, had now fallen into chaos. By March 1997, the government had lost control of the country. Many people in the army and police force had left the jobs, and 1 million weapons had been looted from the armories. Evacuation of foreign nationals and mass migration of Albanians began. Government was forced to resign. Some 2,000 people had been killed in the violence that followed the pyramid scheme collapse. Large part of the country was no longer under government's control. Government revenues collapsed as customs and tax offices were burned. By the end of June, Albanian currency had depreciated against the dollar by 40%. Prices increased by 28%. Many industries temporarily ceased production, and trade was interrupted. President Berisha agreed to hold new parliamentary elections by the end of June, and the interim government was appointed. The interim government, with the help of IMF and World Bank, made an impressive progress in restoring the order and stabilizing the economy. Winding up the pyramid scheme proved to be very difficult. The government encountered resistance from both companies and the members of parliament, many of whom were reported to have invested in this scheme. Due to the internal civil war, people started migrating to the neighboring countries. The collapse of this scheme had a major short-term economic impact, but the most damaging effect came in the form of civil war. As the years passed, things went back to normal. It took some time to restore the order, but today, Albania is just like any other European country. But the memory of this crisis in 1997 is still fresh in the minds of Albanians. It's the worst nightmare, and they don't want it to happen again. So, what can we learn from Albania? I think the case of Albania highlights the most important problem the world is facing today. That is, financial literacy. The important aspect to which we don't give much attention. Earning money is important, but at the same time, managing that money efficiently is also crucial. In Albania, people put their lifetime savings into a shady scheme just because they don't know what a pyramid scheme is. If they had any idea, things would have been different. Easy money doesn't exist. Risk is directly proportional to reward. Unless you take high risk, you cannot earn high returns. That also means that there are high chances of you losing money. And if still someone convinces you that you can make millions without taking any risk, then he is smart and you are on your way to the fool's paradise. So that's the video, guys. If you like my content, consider subscribing to my channel. And don't forget to smash that bell icon to be notified every time I release a new video. Thanks for watching. This is Curious Monk, signing off.